Well, hello everyone. So the I apologize for the amount of time it's been for uh, for the live streams, but as you can see, I'm not in my studio. The studio is being redone. The computer is being redone, so I'm using my laptop in my living room. So, uh, but with everything that's been going on, I figured we need to. I need to get some live time. So first and foremost, what's been going on? I've had this year. I've had two surgeries. You all know about my shoulder. My shoulder was rebuilt, and then I had knee surgery um, just before the 4th of July, and doing well, doing quite well. Anyway, I also did some work that was pretty interesting as a truck driver. I wound up as a conservative supporting one and wacky things I have ever seen in my life, and that was supporting Burning Man. So for almost a month before Burning Man event, I moved the Beechwood up to a camp about 10 miles north of the playa up there, and camped with a few other folks that were truck drivers doing water for the event. And what I did mostly outside of the potable water was run a water truck trying to keep dust down. And of course, as y'all, I'm sure, heard, Mother Nature took over that job and completely watered us out for 3 days. But fortunately, I was off playa. But I'm here to tell you, it is so interesting to see 56,000 liberals in the desert on a lake, on a dry lake bed, and all the support mechanism is coming from patriots and conservatives. It's pretty interesting. So anyway, that took about a month and a half of my time, and then because of all of the rains and that lake bed looked like 50,000 head of cattle had gone through a mud puddle when it was done. Well, that is Bureau of Land Management land, and Bureau of Land Management wanted to see all the ruts removed. So I joined the team that did playa restoration after Burning Man ended, and took a bunch of graders and equipment and loaders and everything out there on the playa, and we took out all the ruts, graded all of it, watered it down with water trucks, and made it look like it should, like a dry lake bed. And I just got back on Wednesday of last week from that job. So that's what I've been doing. So I've been trying to keep up with what's been happening. And oh my God, how do you keep up with what's happening in the world? You know, on February 24th of last year, Russia invaded Ukraine. And that was the day after we started the convoy, day 2 of the convoy. And, or 23rd, I should say. And we started it on the 22nd. It was 23rd, and it was thinking dicey on the 24th. Anyway, so we had that come at us. And then here not too long ago. Well, let's back up. Let's take a look at January, first week of January of 2023. You all probably remember that I covered the Speaker of the House votes every day. And I made my feelings known that I thought that Kevin McCarthy was a rhino that was going to fail us. But give him a chance. We have that motion to vacate. 8 months, nothing. So 8 individuals in Congress with that at the helm ran the motion to vacate. The deep state is pissed off. And they're all out there saying there was no strategy behind having the motion to vacate. Of course there wasn't. It would have been nice, but 8 months of not doing what McCarthy promised. He promised to release the J6 tapes. He let a couple of them go and then back down off of that. And a whole bunch of other things. Definitely not fiscally responsible. And I had said back then, keep your eye on FTX. Keep your eye on Sam Friedman. Sam Bankman-Fried. It's kind of a weird name. FTX. FTX was a cryptocurrency scheme that he sent billions through Ukraine. Money in the pockets of many Republicans as well as Democrats in the House and in the Senate. And I had said back in January, keep an eye on Sam Bankman-Fried, because it's going to come around to bite everybody. And it did. So what we're seeing right now is we're seeing McCarthy booted out of the speaker seat. And everybody's screaming, all of these rhinos screaming about how that was wrong. He had 90+% of the conference, the Republican conference. I don't give a crap about the Republican conference. They don't mean nothing. It's we the people. Congress serves for us. They work for us. And you've got these idiots like Don Bacon from Nebraska 2 out there saying, I will never go for Jordan. I'm going to be going for McCarthy. Guess what? Wake up and smell the cappuccino, buddy. 8 individuals may have been all that was in the Republican conference that actually had the balls to stand up and do something against you. You and your sticky swamp bottom creatures. And they're doing what the people want. It's time that you understand that we the people want Jim Jordan for Speaker of the House. We don't want a temporary speaker through the end of the year, unless it's Donald Trump. We could take that for a temporary, but still want to see Jim Jordan in there. So you're not going to be putting in McHenry, because all of these people that were emboldened to Sam Bankman-Fried are emboldened to Ukraine. They took money. McCarthy took $2 million from Sam Bankman-Fried and the FTX. Every single one of these holdouts for Jordan over the last 2 voting sessions have taken money from Sam Bankman-Fried. There's your real excuse. There is your real reason why they don't want Jordan. because Jordan, he's not going to put up with the crap. He certainly isn't going to be sending money to the Ukraine. But they have a reason to give money we don't have. So let's just print more money. They want to give the Ukraine money. And now dipshit Biden, the resident, wants to give $100 million to Palestine, to the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. How's that going to work? Because that means it's going to Hamas. If it's going to Hamas, it's going to the terrorists, not the Palestinian people. On the other hand, you look at what Putin is doing. He just sends 2,700 tons, 1,000 tons, something like that. Pounds, 27,000 pounds, whatever the case might be, it's 27 something. Sent a plane full of food and supplies, not money. Everybody on the left-wing media is out there saying that he's supporting Hamas. Is he? Is Putin really supporting Hamas? Or is he trying to support the Palestinian people? You know, and I jumped ahead, but the fact is, you know, Hamas had a first strike attack on Israel. Now, I have seen video where the IDF allowed them through the fence, through a big hole in the fence. Uniformed officers on both sides did nothing, allowed the motorcycles with Hamas riders on them to go through. That sounds like January 6th, don't it? I have problems with the government, not the people. But when it comes to the Palestinian people, we've got to go back to 1917 and the Zionists. We got to go back to the fact that you had the Balfour Agreement, and that was backed by the Rothschilds, which took Britain in there. Before the 1948 turning Israel into a state for the Jewish people. Let's not forget that the Jewish people were there 1,500 years before Christ. And the Muslims of the Arab world didn't show up until almost 600 years, 500 and some change years before Christ. So they were living together, Christians, Jews, and Muslims, until the Zionists got involved. Well, we really need to step back and look at the people, because for the last 80 years, these people have been programmed by the Hamas in the south and Hezbollah in the north to hate Jews, to hate Christians, and to kill them, pretty much. How do you deprogram 80 years of programming? Now, by comparison, the Israeli people, I do not speak of the government. The Israeli people haven't been indoctrinated to that in that manner. But their government and Netanyahu certainly have been playing games. And we see that. We see the fact that it appears with an order to stand down 7 hours before the attack, certainly appears that we had a January 6th type setup in Israel. And this is turning out to be a global shitbag full of gotchas. So now you've got Palestinian supporter protesters going all around the world. You've got Muslims, radical Muslims that are burning down buildings that belong to Israel in other countries through their, being embassy buildings. They've pretty much did a January 6th type insurrection yesterday in our capital, headed up by the squad, with the loudest voice being Rashida Tlaib. She needs to go. As far as I'm concerned, throw her ass in prison and throw away the key. We need, the world has just gone to hell in a handbasket. So I've been thinking that, and I've been talking with Mr. T and with others, when they say, what kind of protesting can we do? I'll be honest with you, protesting isn't going to work. We can't move the needle. If we can't move the needle, protesting isn't in the numbers that we would need. The only way that we can have a protest, I think, that would be moving the needle type of protest would be if we had something like what I've been discussing to probably start in the spring of a Freedom Hands Across America protest, where we all have people come out across America, 3,700-mile trek from Seattle, Washington to Washington, D.C. of every square inch, or linear inch, if you will, from Seattle all the way wrapping through to Washington, D.C., 4.6 million people coming out to the line, spending a day about what they want. I think that would move the needle. Yeah, there's been attempts to have Hands Across America decades past, where they couldn't get enough people that had ropes and virtual handholds. That's not what I would want. I would want to see every square inch covered with people from Seattle to DC. That would be a non-ignorable feat. And as I was saying in a conversation with Mr. T, we could even have tributaries to the main of like Billings, Montana, being the beginning of a tributary of people that come down to the main link, and call it continuity. The main link being in like Albuquerque along I-40 or along the roads around I-40. Anyway, I digress. That kind of protest, I think, is the one that would move the needle. Well, I'm not very good at organizing, but if anybody is good at organizing, bring it on. Because I think that would be the one that would be worth doing. Because when you look at the math, you're talking about needing about 4.6 to 4.7 million people. And that's a lot of people. And you're not talking about having a 1 million man march in DC. That's not going to move the needle. That worked for MLK. That is definitely not going to work now. We need to have the entirety of the United States covered with patriots. And I'm not talking about Republicans only or conservatives only. I speak to no matter what color your skin, no matter what your religion, no matter what your nationality or your political affiliations. You just have to be an American. Come on out. What are you concerned about? Hold hands for a few hours. Not giving up weeks of time. Just giving up a day, maybe two, to come out and be with the other folks. And let them see that the people are coming out. They need to see that. The mainstream media needs to see that. So, on to the speaker. Again, Kevin McCarthy made promises he never kept. With that, we needed to get him out of there. We needed to show the world that promises were kept, and the only way that we're going to make it right is to vacate that seat. Well, We vacated that seat. Thank you, Matt Gaetz, and the 7 others. But we need to refill that seat so that we can get on with the country's business without screwing the American public, without sending another red cent to the Ukraine, without sending 1 red cent to the Palestinians that'll wind up with Hamas. If we're going to support Israel, we support the Israeli. And I know that that's a far cry on how we can do that, because they're going to go in, they're going to crush Hamas. And unfortunately, a lot of Palestinians are going to wind up dead in the process. That's their fight. That's not my fight. But I'm feeling, and I've had these conversations with friends of mine, with Mr. T and other friends, it's not a case of protesting at this moment in time. It's really a case of getting yourselves ready. I'm not talking about getting yourselves ready necessarily for war, but I am talking about the fact that there could be attacks on our power grid that could take us down for a very long time. And if that's down for a very long time, diesel generators run dry and down goes the internet. Down goes the cellular telephone systems. Communication systems all go dark. Let's not forget that there's still 60,000 pounds of ammonium nitrate missing. And only 1% of that amount was used at the Mirror Building in Oklahoma City. With what's going on with Hamas, how many terrorists and their cells have come through the southern border in 3 years? And how many points across the country do the 500 kV lines come in contact, I should say, cross over either a highway, a byway, or an interstate? At how many points would you have to take out to cause a full failure of the grid? It's worth thinking about, isn't it? We need to keep our heads on a swivel, and we need to prepare. We need to be prepared. Water, food, protection. I think that's the big thing. We'll still look at peaceful resolution before revolution, but we need to be prepared immediately for anything else that may be coming. I'm going to go over here and turn on, see what's going on over here in the chat. Hey, Jen M. Trucking girl, howdy, howdy. Hope the shoulder's doing all right. Hey, D. McLean. A lot of people. Judy, hi, Judy. How are you? Almost time for me to change my hat out. This one I took up and used on the playa. That's playa dust, man. That's playa sweat and dust out there. Yeah, the resident is he's fried. So I just want to let everybody know something that is so important. I've got it down in the notes. It's so important that we get the Speaker of the House. And they're going to reconvene tomorrow, I believe, at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, maybe 11. But we do not want another Kevin McCarthy. We certainly don't want a McHenry in there. We certainly don't want Steve Scalise in there. These are all rhinos that are taking that money from FTX. Here's the rule of thumb. They've taken money from FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried. They're off the list for Speaker, in my mind. Now, I've talked with my congressman's office a couple times in the last couple of days, and I've informed them, don't vote a resolution for a temporary Speaker, and only vote for Jim Jordan for Speaker of the House. So far, Amade has done just that. They squashed the resolution to have a temporary Speaker of the House. And they were looking, really, by going with that communist Hakeem Jeffries and his idea to try and have Patrick Henry. Well, Patrick Henry would be a rubber stamp that would be worse than McCarthy was, be in Biden's pocket. So we need to take the House majority in reality. And we need to do it with somebody who's fiscally responsible, who has been fighting about the spending in Washington, D.C. since they entered D.C., Jim Jordan. And we need to make sure that our voices are heard at our representatives' levels. Call your representatives and let them know. Even if they're already for Jim Jordan, let them know, because they still need to have that pressure. And if you happen to be in districts of those 22 individuals that played games yesterday with our vote, fire up the phones and give them so much heat. Let them know that they work for us and the way things are coming up. More and more people are going to start running for office just so they can primary the rhinos. Like Bacon. Okay. Like the guy out there in Arkansas and Colorado and the gal up there in Oregon that are all butthurt because Jim Jordan said that the 2020 election was stolen. Well, what that tells me is they're afraid that whoever gets in that chair is going to show that the election was stolen. And they're trying so hard to run everybody who is a naysayer about the election out of money, i.e. Donald Trump. They're trying so hard to just break everyone down, take the fight out of them, to say the election was not stolen in 2020. Well, cover your ears. Bullshit. So many things were wrong about the 2020 election. Between counterfeit ballots, electronic switches, and ballot stuffing, just to name a few, that the people of the United States were robbed. You know, I often do a math quiz when I was on the walk, and I would have people say, well, he took 81 million votes. I said, really? He took 81 million votes? Well, if you just do the math, you can see that there's a potential for fraud in the math. If you say, how many citizens are in the United States of America? 334 million? In 2020, how many were registered to vote? 134 million. That's registered voters out of 334 million. 134 million. Out of the 134 million, how many votes went to Donald Trump? Now I always start with Trump. Oh, well, 75 million. He lost. He lost by almost 11 million votes. Okay, good. But the last time I learned, and I didn't learn Common Core, when you take 75 away from 134, you're left with 59. So explain to me how you turn 59 into 81. And that's if 100% of the registered voters voted. No fraud, huh? That alone shows you there was fraud. That alone. So they're trying so hard to call you an election denier. But the numbers don't lie. So if you start with the numbers and you back your way in, from there, you can say, well, where did you come up with all these extra votes to come up to 81 million when there was only 59 million that you could have got with 100% of the population that's registered to vote? How do you get counties in Michigan, Nevada, and everywhere else in 6 different battleground states where you were at 107% of the registered voter count in the count? How do you get in Pennsylvania? How do you get, when they mailed out 1.8 million ballots, how could they possibly get 2.3 million back? Numbers. So was it stolen? Yes, it was stolen. Absolutely was stolen. You going to throw me in jail for saying that too? You got about 75 million, that's by their numbers, to arrest at the same time. And then there's those that are going to turn around and say, well, I'm not going to vote because my vote won't count anyway, because they're just going to do an installment like you do a toilet. We still have to go and vote. Election integrity around the world, I might add. I mean, we just saw last week with Poland that they installed a liberal, left-leaning liberal. So Poland will now be lost. So this is electronic voting around the world is the biggest fraud in mankind, in all of mankind's history. This is the electronic voting systems. They got to go away. I see the depopulation topic is up. Yeah. It is interesting. I don't want to get too deep into depopulation, but we know that eugenics is a big part of the plan. It's really not a one world order anymore. It's actually global X, global Y, global A, global B, global C, because they're on to us all. And the more people that we wake up as conservatives that have common sense, the more that we are scaring them. So we still need to make people aware of what's going on in this country and around the world. So, yeah, anytime you hear global anything, that's their new catch for one world order. Yeah, see, I came out of the high-tech industry before I went back to driving the truck. So I have a little bit of experience in electronics, and I should say in computer science, if you will. And I was VP of operations and engineering for a Silicon Valley company, an internet-based company. I know about databases. And I know that singularity style databases, like your SQLs and so on, are manipulatable from any place. So they'll tell you that none of the machines are tied to the internet. And that could be true. But when you take the SD card out of the actual machine and you put it into a little lockbox and you have the sheriff deputy take it down to the county, what is the county doing with it? They got to put it into a tabulation, electronic tabulation system that's going to inject those into the master database. And that server, you're going to tell me it's not on. That county server, it's not on the internet. From there, it's got to go to the state, to the Secretary of State system. So we go from the polling station to the county and then on to the state servers. How do you think CNN, MSNBC, ABC, you name it, the alphabet soup of media, how do they get that Chiron ticker information? Well, did you know there are foreign agencies, there are foreign countries that have data feeds coming in and manipulating that data to put it over to the news stations? Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. That's exactly what we are doing. And it's funny, but it's not funny. In 2020, I took clips from CNN when they got down to just 4 states voting on the Chiron down on the bottom ticker. And in 1 minute and 14 seconds, it's a 1 minute and 14 second run, it looped back. And the number was for Pennsylvania. And Pennsylvania jumped. The first time it come over, it had Trump was ahead of Biden by 19,572 votes. Well, actually, he wasn't ahead by that many. But there was nothing to see here on the first Chiron. When the second Chiron came up, 1 minute, 14 seconds later, Trump's numbers went down 19,578 votes. And Biden's number went up the same exact count, 19,578. How do you do that? You swap. But that swap occurred in live stream in a 1 minute and 14 second span. And I caught that. I wrote a 5-page letter out to President Trump. I sent it on the 12th of November. It said, between Hammer and Scorecard and between all these different systems and all these different data platforms and ways to action and manipulate data, they were able to take and do a swap of the votes. You see, swapping is easier for them to do than counterfeit ballots because the numbers are staying the same for the registered voters. The counterfeits cause an increase in registered voters that voted when they're really not there. And so that makes the numbers skewed, i.e., 107% of the voters voted. But it's not hinky, is it? Now, we've seen this in 2020. We've seen this in 2022. In my state here in Nevada, we saw Laxalt ahead. And then for some reason, there was a blackout in the county system in the middle of the night. And when it came back up, he was done. Gee, like you didn't have to go and figure out mathematically how to get him to lose to the Democrat? This is what we're dealing with in election integrity. Election integrity is so screwed up, and it's around the globe. It's not just us. It's around the globe. I've thought seriously about actually running for office. The State Assembly District 27 here in Nevada, for instance, because it's gone to hell in a handbasket. And I don't trust the guy that's in our governor's seat, even though he's a Republican. He just so happens to be the same guy who was the sheriff down there in Las Vegas when Stephen Paddock went nuts. The Las Vegas shooting on October 1st, 5 years ago. He was the same guy that was on the stage with the FBI whispering in his ear what to say. We still don't have information for that. We still don't have the coroner's report. We still don't have the video from the hallway. Nothing. So until real evidence comes out, we're all just conspiracy nuts. Hey, Mona. Sorry about not calling you back, but I was out on the desert. And I still have a hoarse voice, trying to get rid of what they call the playa cough. Trying to get that alkali dust out of my lungs. So I wanted to make sure that I could get on. Been trying to get on the last week or so, but until I get in there, give some time. I'm also doing some stuff out in the yard, in the garage, trying to get things ready before it gets cold. And so I've been putting a lot of time into that, waking hours, and just trying to keep my eye on what's going on around the world. And my thoughts are, we're going to see a false flag soon. They're going to try to divide us even more. So now more than ever, we need to come together. And it's easy. It's really easy for us to just say, you know what, I'm tired and I just need a break. So I'm going to give it up. It would be so easy to do that. And that's when we have to look to our inner self, and we have to realize that there's only one real person. There's only one real, let me just say person is in control. One entity, and that's God. And whatever God says happens will happen, and it'll be on his time, not my time, not your time. But we still have to remain strong. We're tired. We're tired of this screwy ass fight that we have been in for so long. But we cannot give up. We cannot give up the fight. We have to keep the project of making people aware of what's happening be our number one objective. The more people that we can wake up, the more it scares the shit out of them. And let me put them in a kill box, okay? Because now they're even trying to come back and I mean, we already know the DOJ and the FBI are monitoring us or monitoring this right here, right now. We're in a police state, Banana Republic. We've seen them attack their political competitor. We're seeing the FBI is Joe Biden's personal KGB. And even the rank and file is becoming, I'm beginning to question what the rank and file does. When I was on the walk, I talked to lots of police officers And I asked him, what is going to happen when the shit hits the fan? You going to go and join the sheriff? Because your legislators, your mayor is going to tell you to do one thing. It may be a detriment to the people that you serve, that you're supposed to be protecting, to protect and serve. So we just have to keep the faith. We got to keep awake. We need to wake more people up. I think it's happening, but it's happening at a slower pace than I think it should be. And obviously, I don't have an agenda for this conversation, for this stream tonight. But I did want to make sure that, it's been a long time. I believe it was around May 5th or something, so the last time I did a stream. So I do have a podcast that I was doing for a bit. And I do have the podcast. I just haven't, with working up in the Playa in the desert and being gone for almost 2 months, and basically for 2 months, I haven't been able to get on. So I'm going to try to rectify that issue when it comes to getting online. I got back from the Playa. I turned on my computer, and I had an update for my browser. I hit the update on my browser, and it bombed every single link and password in my system. Bye-bye. So I'm having to completely rebuild my studio, which is why I'm on my laptop tonight. And I haven't had real time to be able to go in there and spend time to do that. So the next few streams may or not blogs, but vlogs, I think they call them, video logs, and all of that may be coming from here, maybe coming from my laptop. But I'm seeing a lot of names out there that I'm recognizing. And oh yeah, I see that. Yeah, there was no internet out there. Hell, I couldn't even make a phone call. I couldn't even receive a phone call out there. So, nope. And even though I had internet out at the ranch where we were camped, by the time I got back there, see, I was working between 12 and 14 hours a day. So I was up at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, go out, squirt water on the desert, going back and forth. Wow, you know what? I've got a YouTube video. Giovanna, I don't know if you can get the link to the fly geyser and post that up there. But I did a drone video of around the fly geyser, which is where I was collecting. In fact, you can see my truck in the distance at the pumping station where I was pumping water from the geyser pond, going out and dumping it 11, 12 miles away out there on the dry lake bed. But it's a beautiful geyser. It's really something. I believe, give me a moment here. I just so happen to have it. So I am going to post up a link to a video that I shot that maybe y'all can get out, share it. Around the 5-minute mark of that video, around the 5-minute mark is where it really gets to be kind of, breathtaking. Let me say it that way. And I think the whole video is about 10 minutes in length. I didn't make it public. I made it by invitation, basically. I'll probably turn it on to be a public video, but that's the link to it. So you can go and watch that video. But like I said, 5 minutes in is where it really starts to get good. And then you can see off in the distance, you can see the truck that I was filling with water to go out there and squirt onto the desert. And that's what I did for 12 to 14 hours a day, every day, 7 days a week. And Malgal, yeah. No, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm a little congested from that playa dust. I mean, you're out there on that dry lake bed, and that's alkali dust. And you get that in your lungs. You get that on your skin. You really can't get it off unless you're using like a vinegar wash. But you certainly can't rinse your lungs out with vinegar. So you just kind of got to let nature take its course and work it all up. And, you know, those people are out there for a week. The people that are supporting that whole event are out there for almost a month ahead of it and a month after it, doing cleanup, taking everything out there. It's amazing how much money they blow into that thing so that they can have their sex, drugs, and thump-a-dump. I mean, used to be sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Well, it's sex, drugs, and thump-a-dump. That's what it is. Can't tell you, man. I saw too many naked people, especially old men with their gonads down to their knees. I mean, it was just like, wow. Oh, I didn't know there was this many people around that were like that. But you know what? It gives you a different perspective on people when you're out there watching it live and not on. Well, you can't even see it on camera, really. So they don't allow drones to fly over it. And they get really touchy if somebody's trying to film any of those folks out there. But one of the things that I got to say was extremely difficult for me out there on the playa, and I got to tell you, I had a purple tongue from biting it so hard. Yeah, I did. Mr. T came out there and I gave him a ride in the water truck. Oh, yeah. He could tell you some stories. Yeah, going up and down the streets of the clock. But, yeah. Is it possible for Hakeem Jeffries? I'm watching the comments, sorry. Is it possible for him to become Speaker of the House? Yeah. It is possible. But is it probable? I'll tell you, it would take a couple of Republicans to vote for Hakeem Jeffries. And if they did that, not to say they wouldn't, it would end them. It would end them. So, Abby. Ooh. Holy moly, Abby. Yeah, I know. Oh, I know where the microwave is too. Thank you. Abby, come. You want to say hi? Come here. Abby, come. Come around here. Come here. People want to say hi. So here's Abby. For everybody that wanted to see Abby. Hey, quit. That was Mr. T. Hey, over here. What's up? Yeah. Well, she is interested in what is going on because Mr. T had some food. Abby's a food motivated dog. Oh yeah. Yep. Yep. You gotta say hello. Hello. The Abby girl. Yeah. What's this? What's this? Can you see? Can you see? Hey, look. Who's that? Who's that? Who's just saying hi? Huh? Huh? What? Oh yeah, you do. You're getting to be a wiggle butt. Yeah. You're a wiggle butt. She's more interested with what's going on back over here. What? Oh yeah. Oh, thanks for the hug. Okay. Go on. What? Okay. Off she went. So yeah. So yeah, she's doing great. Now she's going to try and bring a toy to play tug of war because of that. But yeah, Hakeem Jeffries is a full-blown communist. And if some Republicans jump the fence, take him up to 216 or 17, depending on roll call, and yeah. So that's the only way that Jeffries could actually make it. Are you going to lay down back there? Mm-hmm. Yeah. What? Oh. Oh. What are you doing? What are you doing? Oh. Shoot. Oh. It's a Frenchie attack. What? So attentive you are. There. Oh. You are going to attack me now. Are you? Hey. Be good. Oh, yeah. Be good. Oh, no. It's a French Revolution. It's a Frenchy Revolution. Yep. So, so Abby had surgery. She got fixed. Come here. Abby, come here. Come up here. Up here. Oh, you little shit. Come here. Come here. And she had her soft palate reduced so she could breathe easier. And then they redid her nose, took the flaps out of her nose so she could breathe better. So you could breathe better. Yeah, kisses. Yeah, breathe good. No snore. Little bit of snore. Right? Yeah. So she's doing very good after surgery, which was just about 3 weeks ago, I guess. So she's doing really, really good. And let's see, show your belly. Whoop. Yeah. Oh, goody. It's been a while since you've been on camera too, huh? What do you think? Yeah. So attentive you are. Yeah. Did you want some snackos later? Do you want some snackos later? Yep. I know. It's good. It's a good girl. So we've just got to keep our heads on a swivel and prepare for what's happening. And sorry, I was reading something. Yeah. The Republicans have really just, they have just disappointed me. And I'm not the only one. The Republicans have been doing nothing but playing games between the secret societies that are playing, that really Congress has been overrun. They've always been in there, but the secret societies, and I'll let you figure out which ones they are. They run Congress. And what you're seeing between the bribery monies and the intimidation from the secret society Guidos, well, you want to bend your nose over, is why we don't have a speaker in the House right now. And so we're really pushing against the wave when it comes to the lobbyists, the special interest groups, the donor groups, and do not forget the secret societies. Because between the Masons, Club 300, Skull and Bones, it won't take much. It doesn't take much to get somebody, in a closet somewhere, give them a thump a dump and say you're gonna listen. That's all got to go away. That's all got to go away. Sleeper cells. Good point. Look, I would be considering myself part of a peaceful majority of the American people. But there are a radical few. Now, Bridget Gabrielle, about 9 years ago, really caught my attention about 9 years ago, Bridget Gabrielle, where she spoke about the insignificance of the peaceful majority. And she spoke about the radical few killing millions around the world over the years. It's always been the radical few that have killed many of the peaceful majority. Terrorist cells are in the United States, not just in the last 3 years, but many, many years prior to Biden even coming into office, even before his installation. So what do? We really can't do anything except prepare. If you're in a big city, it will more than likely be a target. Again, I mentioned earlier there's 60,000 pounds of ammonium nitrate that's missing. It doesn't take much to parse that up into many, many, many bombs. Just saying. And those cells, they're looking to initiate a terror in the people around wherever it is that they're attacking. They don't want you to get a good night's sleep. They want to beat you down. And then they want to conquer you. There's really no difference, if you think about it, between the Romans and their conquering, the Arabs hundreds of years ago and their conquering, and really the Arabs gave birth to the Islamic terrorists that are just a radical few, but that radical few is 10 years ago, out of the 1.2 billion Muslims around the world, approximately 15 to 20% of that count, which when you do that, that's around 300 million out of 1.2 billion Muslims would be radical. 300 million. That's near the population of the United States. That's your radical few. And the rest of that 1.2 million or billion would be the peaceful majority of that particular religion, the Muslim religion. So the peaceful majority are the ones that are going to suffer. And we, the peaceful majority, have to keep our heads on a swivel for what the radical few can do and will do. Yeah, Chris. Brother, that's one of the cities I do believe that has a cell. Just stay out of the large gathering places. Stay out of any events. Don't go to the fair. Don't go to the movie house. Don't go anywhere where there's a lot of people gathering. Stay away from that. So, yeah, with ammonium nitrate and diesel fuel, you got a big bomb. And 60,000 pounds can be parsed up, divvied up into many bombs. Only 1% of that amount was used at the Mirror Federal Building in Oklahoma City by Timothy McVeigh, if we were to go down that road. So, again, apologize for the voice. I'm still, each day gets better, you know, up at 1 and 2 in the morning when the body starts to cleanse, hacking and wheezing, trying to get all that playa alkali out of my lungs. It's like when I quit smoking back in 1981, how long it took to hack up all that tar and nicotine. That's right, Debbie. All of the major cities would be on the targets. I think the closest cell to my current location is Santa Clara, California, that I'm aware of. San Francisco, Seattle, Chicago, Miami. So stay out of the big cities and stay out of big events. That's all we can do. When it happens, and I hate to say it like this, but when it happens, that's when people are going to start to wake up. That we have been attempting to wake up over these last few years. They're going to go, what the hell? And we're no longer conspiracy freaks at that time. And that's when we can unify. Pittsburgh, yeah. Yeah. Keep your heads on a swivel. That's all I can tell you. And be prepared. Like I said, it would not take much to take down the grid. Remember a few years back, years ago, a simple switch took out all of New York for many, well, I think it was days. A simple little switch. Imagine for just a moment if you took the 5 major interstates that go across the country, okay, and a few of them that go north and south, and you got the east and west and the north and south interstates and the highways and byways, and you look at a map of the electricity grid of the United States, they've got a surge protection system. And if you get the 500 kilovolt lines are affected, the surge suppression system goes into effect and shuts down all the switches across the country of the 500 kV feeder lines. And you could literally see months of not having electricity in the United States. I kid you not. Between 7 and 9 hubs destroyed would take out our electricity. Now, you can't store enough diesel fuel to keep the generators and the backup systems alive long enough for your internet and your cell phone services. You can't. They will go down. And when they do, chaos, more chaos will ensue. That's the reality of it. We are on a very fragile system. Now, if at the same time you had a coordinated attack where you've got software actually running these switches across these 500 kV points on the electrical grid in this country, it would not take much. And you really would not be able to stop it if you really think about it. Timothy McVeigh parked a Ryder truck, like 20, 22 foot, in front of Mirror Building. If a 53-foot tractor trailer were to just simply pull up, park underneath a 500 kV line system, and it was a coordinated 7 or 9 at the same time elsewhere, and popped them, it would take the grid out. And there's nothing that anybody could do security-wise to stop that. So that's the type of thing that, oh, well, that's a conspiracy theory. Well, all conspiracies are theory until they're fact. So just keep that in mind. So that's why I say prepare. I've had meetings with a lot of individuals. I've met a lot of patriots. Personally, I'm working on a 1,500 gallon water system. I'll put it back up on the hill back here. 1,500 gallons isn't a lot of water when it really comes down to it. When we were out at the ranch, there was no electricity, so we had to have our own electricity. We had a diesel generator system, and we had some solar power, but solar power is a weak system. So we went through a lot of diesel fuel. Now, granted, not want to have that. Around the house here, every single light in my house is LED. So I draw very little power. So if I really needed to power it up, I could with a couple of the gen sets that I've got around the house. But outside of my refrigerator and my freezer, I don't really have any big electrical draw systems. But there's things that we could do. Dometic and another company makes a propane-powered system. And if you don't have the propane gas, basically it's an ammonia gas system. And anyway, I won't get into that. But hunters use that methodology, and a 7-gallon tank of propane lasts months on a propane refrigerator. Yeah, bananas. That's why I try not to go into too much detail, and I did kind of slip that out there. But trust me, I'm not giving them any news. You can go back about 4 years and do some searching, and you'll find it's already a known fact. Yeah, Richard, you're right. Now, see, solar panels and wind generation are great when it comes to an individual source system. But solar panels for large cities is not achievable. In order to power just the New York subway, you would need 4,000 acres of solar panels just for the subway system. Wind generation is already showing out to be a crock, killing our eagles and killing our birds. So, Mechanic Eric, hey buddy. So that's something to look at. But LED lighting. Outside in the woodshed, I've got LED solar powered floodlights, internal lights. In the garage, I've got solar powered lighting that's motion sensing. I don't even have power out there for the lights. It's all solar powered lighting. You want to look solar power charged lights. Even the light that's on my face right now is a 36 LED panel. You can see the reflection off my hand that's running on a 5-volt USB. So I could literally run it off of a little charge pack, if need be, and run it for hours, light up my entire living room off of a little phone charge pack. So LED lights and some power packs. I've got a few. I was using them on the walk, solar powered charge packs. Put them out for 4 hours. They charge up 25,000 milliamp hour. And for Patriots, got some. But the key about all of these, because they have lithium ion, not lithium polymer, but lithium ion batteries, and they will puff out and pop on you if they are overcharged. So when they're charged, you want to turn them over so that they're not getting any sunlight. Even in your house, they can get enough sunlight to where they're kind of charging. So if you do get these solar powered packs, make sure that you do not leave them constantly in the sun, or they will do you no good. You'll start swelling up, and they can be a potential hazard. Lithium is a real unstable metal, if you will, and it's interesting. If it comes in contact with water, it'll ignite, and if it comes in contact with a high heat source, it'll ignite and it'll flare out. So makes you wonder about the cars that you may be running around in the EVs with all that lithium. Yeah, that could be a problem if you've got a split battery and you take on water. Why do you think all those flooded Teslas out there in Florida wind up being parked way apart from each other and big signs, do not approach? Because they've been underwater and they could have a problem. Windy. Texas girl, I see you said hi to, not Texas girl, sorry, trucking girl. Hi to Wendy. Is that the Wendy that I think? Is that Wendy Bell? Wendy B of Arizona. Okay. Yeah, Eric. I really don't know if that's going to be mainstream. But I do believe, and mark my words, I do believe that a new source of power is going to come out. You got to remember, the Zionists are looking to make an enrichment for everyone, okay? Including your power company. What do we got? 3,700 power companies in the United States that are just raping every single household in the United States. Imagine, if you will, yeah, Richard, Wendy Bell. Yeah, I've been online with her. Had a Zoom call with her not too long ago. The if a new power source that could power a household that doesn't require a lot of amperage, like big refrigerators and freezers, but all LED system, you could literally go off grid with a box outside your wall. Something to think about. Something to think about. Why is the power bills being hiked up dramatically? Are we on the edge of seeing something come out that could give us literally free power? Who knows? I'm just saying. I'm not saying it's there, but could there be? So it's just something to think about. Was what for Patriot Switch? Oh yeah. The Zoom call for Patriot Switch. Yeah, I was on with that one. I was on with Wendy on that one. So ah, tiny camper Wendy. Okay. I need to go eat my dinner. Okay. Yeah, I'm being told go eat your dinner. So I've got a microwave. I got to warm up my dinner. I got a dog that's sitting right here. It's getting late, especially for all you folks out there on the East Coast. I appreciate you staying up with me. I do know that it's been a long time. Everybody wanted to see what was going on. Am I still alive? Yes. Am I still kicking? You bet. Um, am I packing? Yes. Um, am I ready? I don't think you could ever really be ready, but let's just say I think something's going to happen sooner than later, and just be ready for it. And so I'm going to say good night to all of you, and keep your head on a swivel. God bless you, and God bless the United States.